Sometimes it is so nice to see something that just trusts you. Something that doesn't beat you over the head with its ideas, with its basic plot concepts, or even beats you over the head with its world. When you see a show that trusts its audience to stick around and understand where it's going, because of its tight control over its tone, as well as its methodical reveal of information, that's something special. One such show is Girls' Last Tour. Girls' Last Tour is refreshing because it seems to take most of what makes shows watchable in a cynical sense and throws that away. It chooses instead to stand by its artistic decisions. Girls' Last Tour is one of the most profoundly non-cynical, perhaps even anti-cynical, anime in recent history. To explain what I mean by that, I first need to make sure we're on the same page about what I mean when I say something is a cynically made piece of media. When I say this, I'm not referring to media which has a sardonic and cynical edge to it, nor do I mean media that has characters who exhibit cynicism about their own world, the situation they find themselves in, the people they interact with, etc., etc., etc. When I say something is cynical, I mean that in the sense that the people who made it allowed their cynicism to get in the way of trying to make something faithful to their vision, earnest, and good. Cynical media is something that says, we can't do that, no one's going to want that, no one will watch it. Or something that says, kids don't care, we can just put whatever fucking bullshit we want in front of them and they'll just eat it up because they're stupid. Cynical pieces of media are made by people who don't have the balls to make bold artistic decisions. They're the people that said no to Dinosaur having no dialogue, which is how that movie was originally intended. They're also the people who decide self-insert protagonists are the way to go, because then as many people as possible will be able to relate to the strange Frankenstein of potential emotions that they decide to put forward. Cynical media assumes the worst of everyone and looks to cast as wide a net as possible, and as a result, it's usually afraid to dig deeper into individual ideas or niches because people won't get it. Girls' Last Tour, the anime, is counter to all of these cynical impulses, as it makes decisions almost exclusively based on what will make the show better and will help bring its vision to life. Every episode of Girls' Last Tour is 22 minutes, but each episode ranges from having 2 to 3 segments an episode, and the number of segments does not indicate the length of each segment within an episode. Episode 2 has 3 segments which are all roughly the same length. Each one shows what moments of routine, solace, and discovery look like in this post-apocalyptic world, with Chito and Yuri in it. Episode 9 also has 3 segments in it, however only one of them, Life, is titled in the show itself, and the first 2 segments make up only 4 minutes of the setup of the episode. This irregularity not only complements the feeling of wandering through a post-apocalyptic wasteland where important events just spring up at random and don't always take the form of nice, neat 22-minute or 12-minute story structures. It also allows the creative team to give each moment within the story exactly the amount of time it needs to be realized. Story beats can take their time and mount up to a specific emotion through their whole segment, sometimes seeming incredibly slow until they build into something amazing. Episode 5 is full of these. The first segment, House, allows the audience to indulge with Chito and Yuri in the fantasy of getting to stay in a single place and of making a home which is anything more than each other. And the sound of rain lets us see them, after they've already reminisced about the time they were comfortable in that empty apartment, turn around a rough situation by making music for the first time, through the sound of rain hitting objects in their temporary shelter. As a side note, some would argue that making Chito and Yuri so cute could be considered a cynical move, as the series would not be watched if it did not have that initial appeal, and to that I have 2 things to say. The first, speaking about the source material of the manga for a second, is that the choice to have Chito and Yuri be so cute is one that was made deliberately, to create a sense of contrast between their cute forms and the desolate world that surrounds them. Secondly, speaking about the anime adaptation, the decision to keep the character designs of Chito and Yuri was made to expand and build on the original choices the mangaka made, and thus is in line with an earnest effort to make the best show possible. Takaharu Ozaki has worked on many things in the past, but Girls' Last Tour was his first time doing the lion's share of directing on a show. He directed fully half of it, including the episodes I've already talked about here, and I hope he continues to get work if he's going to inject this level of trust in his audience into his future productions. Though the next thing he's working on is some adaptation of something called Goblin Slayer, and he was episode director on the gore porn roach monster anime Terraformers, so who fucking knows? Wait, what the fuck? This guy did CG on Metropolis? He did some painting in Cowboy Bebop? He did some of the key animation on One Punch Man? What exactly is your skill set, enigmatic Japanese man? Tell me your secrets. Separating the effect of the director from the success of the show, I hope that Girls' Last Tour shows people that they don't need to follow specific trends or conventions to succeed. I sincerely hope that there are more shows that just trust the viewer a little bit, with some subtlety and some quiet moments and letting things slowly build. I hope more people give more time to the story beats, or less time if they don't need it. Think about how many anime would be better if there were sequences that were wholly taken out because they weren't necessary, or shortened down. Imagine if you didn't have to think about writing an episode so that it lasted all the way to 22 minutes. And more so, imagine more anime just trusting their viewer, believing that they want to see something good and not something pandering.